We're off and running on a Tuesday evening here on VSiN PrimeTime alongside Jonathan Von Tobel. I am Tim Murray. 3 games on the NBA docket tonight. 4 on the ice. A busy, busy evening. Injury news regarding Kristaps Porzingis as well. We will get to that as we roll through this show. So a loaded up show. JVT, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. My Nashville Predators look to stave off elimination later today in Vancouver. Can't wait to watch that. We get a fun series, the one that we're all looking forward to, Timberwolves Nuggets, that was set last night, by the way. VSiN.com. Full series preview is up right now. You can dive into. Like you said, the sports are sporting, man. We got a full baseball card, too. I'm fired up. This is a great time of year.
It is. Yeah. We got the draft in the rear view. May just around the corner. So I don't know if you are a believer in bad omens or
ghosts.
Mushing or ghosts, but I don't know what this means. And maybe it means nothing. Maybe it just means that this particular animal was clumsy. But I was sitting in my kitchen today doing my normal prep work, and I heard a big thud. Boom! What the hell was that? I look outside, and a big old bird had smacked into my sliding glass door. Look out. Yeah, that bird's not moving. So, is that a bad omen? Bird flew right into my sliding glass door. Done.
Well, first, it's natural selection. The second, according to Google, a bird flying into your window can symbolize a new change in your life, like a new job or relationship, maybe a reminder to believe that good things are coming in your future. See, I told you. I texted you immediately, and I said, that's a good sign.
Hey, we got a new producer.
There you
Producer
go.
Britton's moving on. I snapped my IFB, the thing that we put into our ears.
Lots of new things coming.
So, yeah. All right. New things coming. All right. There we go. So,
rumor has it that we're going to do a Batman thing, which is we're going to get all of the VSiN producers who want Britton's job into a room, and I'm going to snap a pool stick in half, and we're going to throw it on the ground. We're going to let them have at it. Last one standing gets the job.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we film it?
Yeah.
We got some odds?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Got some odds out there?
I
I
mean-
don't know. We'll see how producer Wyatt does.
Don't know if it's OSHA approved, but I think we're working through it.
Well, not good news today for the Boston Celtics. Let's just get this hit on this real quickly before we get into the games this evening. As we were watching last night, we saw Kristaps Porzingis grab at his calf, his right calf, and it looked like, oh boy, this could be something very serious. News just came out courtesy of Shams Charania. Celtics center Kristaps Porzingis has a right soleus strain. He will miss Game 5 against the Miami Heat on Wednesday. And I believe others have chimed in with this reporting as well, saying it is the same injury that Giannis Antetokounmpo had suffered, in which he has missed the entire Bucks-Pacers series. So as Adrian Wojnarowski responded, he is expected to miss a minimum of several games with this right soleus strain. So when you're looking at the Boston Celtics, who are the odds-on favorite to win the Eastern Conference, they are the favorites to win the NBA championship. And we were saying last night, prior to the injury, my goodness, look how deep this team is. It doesn't matter, who is stepping up. If Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown aren't having monster games, they can have Derek White step through and hit some big threes. What does this mean, in your opinion, for tomorrow night, for Game 5, Celtics Heat, but more importantly, moving forward when you look at their likely second-round matchup, and then if you want to go into the Eastern Conference Finals with a potential showdown with the New York Knicks?
Yeah, I don't think you're too worried about this for the next round. I'm going to assume that they finish off the Miami Heat in 5 games with a 3-1 series lead. And I will assume that they'll be able to dispatch whoever comes out of the dreck that is Cleveland-Orlando in that series as well. So I think you really start to stretch out the collar is if you get to the Eastern Conference Finals and he's not going to be available. I would say at this point the most likely opponent in the Eastern Conference Finals would be the New York Knicks. Given the way that series is going, we'll see that later today. And given that they'll be favored to their series over the Indiana Pacers, and again, assuming that the Pacers are going to finish that thing off. So I don't think you're really worried at all until you get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So that's going to be the interesting part is where is he at by the time you get there? You mentioned Giannis Antetokounmpo, same injury as him, the same injury that we discussed with Damian Lillard that he had suffered at one point in his career. Remember, the 2 weeks was thrown out there by Lillard. Well, it's been 21 days since we last saw Giannis Antetokounmpo play basketball. It doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon. So about 3 weeks, and then maybe a little bit longer, right? That puts you smack in the middle of those conference finals, NBA finals conference finals, getting into the latter portions of that. So that's going to be the worrisome part because, Tim, as we know, right, if they're fully healthy, New York Knicks got quite a few bodies that are pretty big, right? They've got Isaiah Hartenstein, they've got Mitchell Robinson, so that's when I think you start to worry about it. But for now, you are deep enough and you are good enough to take care of the opponents in front of you on your path to the conference finals. It's just that once you get there, what his status is going to be is, I think, going to be even greater. I mean, look today, for example, to give you an idea of just the path that they're on and the level of opponent that they're facing, their next matchup, which is tomorrow, you're looking at a point spread right now for Boston of about 13 and a half. They were laying 14 in game one when they were at full strength. So it kind of tells you where they're at with their level of opponent. That's what I think you're looking for. Will he be ready for the conference finals?
If you're wondering, the yes-no price on the Boston Celtics to win the Eastern Conference, currently at circa, that is yes, minus 245, which is on par with what the odds we showed you there at DraftKings. The no price is plus 200. Now, if you wanted to go to a different route, obviously you could play who you believe will win the Eastern Conference. The New York Knicks sit at plus 370. The Sixers sit at 35-1. The Pacers plus 1075. Cavaliers 15-1, and then the Magic, and who, of course, the Cavaliers are playing in that 2-2 series, sit at 45-1. From what we've seen from the Knicks so far, an opportunity tonight to close out the Philadelphia 76ers, game starting around the top of the hour at Madison Square Garden. Right now, the New York Knicks sitting as around a 4.5-point favorite across the market with a total of 204. Would you look at all at the Knicks at plus 370, JVT? Not mainly solely off of just the diagnosis of Kristaps Porzingis, but just the way that the Knicks have been playing. Do you see any weaknesses with Boston, or you still believe that ultimately Boston takes care of business here in the East?
No, I mean, I don't think so, because I also think that I don't think you're going to get 370, but you're not going to get that much of a difference in a series price if it ends up being Eastern Conference Finals, Knicks and Celtics. Celtics are power rated to the moon here, and they're going to be heavily favored no matter who their opponent is in any single series. So I think for the big picture, I think you can just sit back and wait and still play the Knicks either for the series or if you want to play some of those exact series results if it does come down to the fact that they get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But, of course, you still got to get past an opponent here, of course, as a 4-point favorite tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. So while the path is pretty clear for the New York Knicks, crazier things have happened. And we have seen teams blow 3-1 series leads before. Not so much 3-0, which the Lakers failed to come back from the other night. But it's not a given, although it's very likely that the Knicks are making it out of this series with the Philadelphia 76ers. 3
NBA games tonight, starting with Philly and New York, Indiana and Milwaukee. The late-night game, will the Indiana Pacers close out the Milwaukee Bucks? And then the only series that doesn't have a chance to be completed tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, Orlando and Cleveland. More on the NHL coming up in about 5 minutes. Todd Furman from CBS Sports and the Bet the Board podcast will break down the night on the ice. But we do have some breaking news coming across from an injury standpoint, and it's not in the NBA. It is in Major League Baseball. Mike Trout needs surgery on his knee. Sources tell Alden Gonzalez and Jeff Passan. The extent not known, but a source said it is not expected to be season-ending. So that just coming across that Mike Trout needs surgery on his knee.
Mike Trout has played in over 100 games just once since 2019. I mean, and that seems like this is going to be the case here again for him, which obviously really sucks. The guy has been in the midst of a pretty interesting year. Homer-wise, he's already got 10 home runs on the season, has been knocking them left and right. But I do think when it comes to the big picture here for the Angels, who I'm going to go on a limb, they stink. They're not particularly good at this point right now, Tim. For a guy that's floating around the league leading homers with about 10, this is still a lineup that's floating around 18th, the weighted runs created plus. They're going to plummet now. Holy smokes, this is going to get bad for the Angels. Like, they still weren't good at all. And you've got guys like Joe Adele who seem to be finally breaking out. That's not going to be enough. This is obviously a really bad sign for a team that's already really struggling. And we'll see, because that's the other part, big picture-wise. It's not like a betting thing. I mean, actually, it was kind of a betting thing in the sense that I know that Trout has put out all the messages that he wants to stay in Anaheim, but if he was going to have a pretty decent year and like this power was going to spike and we were going to see, a version of Mike Trout that was going to be tradable, right? Now all of a sudden, like that's out the window because again, the guy just cannot stay healthy. So sucks for a guy that is really, really good. And it sucks for me, who is a fan of teams who have incredible players but can't stay healthy in any way, shape, or form.
Kawhi not playing Game 5 either?
No.
Yeah.
Knee injury, by the way.
Clipper and Angel fan over here.
When it happens, it's going to be sweet. Tell you that much. Can't wait till June.
Mike Trout, if you're wondering, in the AL MVP odds was the fourth shortest at plus 850, only behind Juan Soto, Bobby Witt Jr., and Gunnar Henderson. He is... I would go on a limb, depending on the severity, probably not going to win that award this year. So
yeah, depending. I mean, knee surgery, again, we don't even know what kind of a knee surgery it is. The extent, as Alden Gonzalez said, not known, not expected to be season ending. But again, if this bleeds into let's just say if it bleeds into end of July, August, I mean, why? Why force it back?
I mean, the good news is Anthony Rendon, World Series champion, there to help.
He does.
To help out the Los Angeles Angels with his undying passion for the sport. He loves it.
All I know that finally Joe Adele has arrived, hitting over 300 still. Let's go, Joey. We've been waiting for you forever.
Mike Trout, surgery on his knee. Unfortunate news there for one of the best players in the game. That is Jonathan Von Tobel. Staying strong, though, as a Clipper and Angel fan. Injuries have never deterred him. Just pushes it way down deep inside. We got 4 games on the ice tonight. Todd Furman going to join us to help break them down next.
This is VSiN Primetime with Tim Murray and Jonathan Von Tobel on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We keep it rolling here on VSiN Primetime alongside Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Tim Murray here in Las Vegas at the Circus Sportsbook. Last night here in town, the series got evened up as the Dallas Stars. The market was accurate. They bet the Stars to a slight favorite, and they were able to win 4-2 to even that series at 2 games apiece. We'll get some more thoughts on that series in a little bit. But to break down the 4 games on the ice tonight, welcome in on a progressive guest line, Todd Furman. He is, of course, the co-founder of the Bet the Board podcast, which you can get wherever you get your podcasts, and also an analyst for CBS Sports. All 3-1 series, Todd, tonight. So we have a lot of closeout potential. Let's start in Boston, where we probably all have a Maple Leaf fan somewhere in our friend tree at some point, and they just can't get over the hump. So does it end tonight in Beantown? Do the Boston Bruins end it for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I mean, given the effort level we saw in the pivotal Game 4, it's hard to imagine the Maple Leafs get off the deck. The big storyline that we're following in this game is will or won't Austin Matthews be out there in earnest? You've seen the betting market kind of bounce around a variety of different ways, open to shade under $1.40, got as high as $1.70 at some shops. Maple Leafs reporters sharing that they don't think he's going to be out there. Sheldon Keefe getting a little bit desperate, going with Joseph Woll. If Matthews gets ruled out and this number drifts out in that $1.75 range, and I have an opportunity to take plus 150, I'd be willing to dabble more as a value bet. But other than that, I don't see a real compelling angle to try and get involved. And you have to imagine in the back of the Bruins' heads are what happened a season ago, where they had a chance to close out the Florida Panthers with a 3-1 series lead, subsequently lose 3 straight, and we know how that record-setting season ended. So not sure Toronto will have enough in the tank, but if the number gets in range of plus 150 or better without Matthews, probably forced into a value bet just purely as a numbers play.
All right, so I'm a numbers guy. I like these, but sometimes you got to go with vibes. I'm not an idiot all the time, Todd, and one of the things that I can't help but notice is that I feel like the Nashville Predators might just be mentally crushed after losing that game over the weekend. What do we do with them against Vancouver? Canucks are about $1.20 favorite.
You have to wonder exactly what this team will have traveling across the continent for a game to stave off elimination, knowing that they had a 3-1 lead with under 3 minutes to go. They were actually a 1-40 favorite when you looked at a live money line price tag there. Of course, the Canucks force overtime with under 10 seconds to go, and it looked like Nashville never left the locker room. Canucks playing it a little bit tight to the vest as well. We're not sure who's going to be in net for them, whether it'll be the second stringer in Casey DeSmith or third stringer in Artur Silvos. who started last game. At the same time, I only make a 1% adjustment for those two netminders. As the number leaks out, Nashville gets more and more intriguing, but I think the total is probably the angle that I'd like to attack. And I'll split a position here to go under 1.5 in the first period and under 5.5 full game. The hardest part about going under full game in these closeout situations is we've seen coaches get pretty aggressive when it comes to pulling a netminder. So you almost have to handicap the side that you like in the game as well. Last night, Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning, perfect illustration. John Cooper pulls his goalie for the final 4.5 minutes. You get two empty netters, and a game that looked like it was going to go under 6.5 squeaks over at 7, and Tim's beloved Caps on the wrong end of an empty netter in the closeout game against the Rangers, where that game fell 6 as well with a closing total at 5.5.
I mean, what a great showing of my Caps. I mean, I tell you, the future's bright there in the nation's capital. Come on, baby.
I mean, at least you get a break after watching so many games this season. Probably.
I was crying. You know, it's just hard to watch it. Todd Furman joining us here on VSiN PrimeTime, joining our progressive guest line. By the way, Todd, looking at first period 1.5, minus 110. Just look around. You can get some normal juice there on that under in Nashville, Vancouver, late night one there. The closest game per the spread is Colorado at Winnipeg. Colorado up 3-1, Todd. Haven't really seen much movement in this line, maybe a little bit towards the home dog in this spot. Looked like Circa opened minus 116 in favor of Colorado, down to minus 114. So it feels like a true pick'em situation there north of the border in Winnipeg. Total sitting at 6.5, juiced over. Anything you're looking at here in Winnipeg, Colorado?
You know, deja vu all over again for our friends in Manitoba. When you look at this Winnipeg Jets team, they came out last year, win game 1 against the Golden Knights and then promptly lose 4 straight, on the cusp of repeating that feat here. And when you look at the Jets, the strength of this team all year had been their Vezina caliber netminder, Connor Hellebuck, but his numbers this series, anything but stellar. A goals against average over 5, a save percentage of 870. And you look at some of those underlying metrics that suggest he may actually have been a little bit worse than the top line numbers suggest. I'm not sure Winnipeg has enough to try and slow down this onslaught of offense that they've seen from the Avs. And this total at 6.5 probably seems a manageable market to attack. But I think the derivative angle of taking Colorado's team total over 3.5 at a price right around plus 105, plus 110 makes the most sense. I just haven't seen enough on a willingness of the Jets to be able to play the physically imposing brand of hockey you need to slow down Colorado. And this is a group right now that looks to be on a collision course with the winner of the Dallas Stars Vegas Golden Knights series, setting up what should be one of the best conference semifinals that we'll see starting maybe over the weekend or early next week.
Any case to be made for New York here against Carolina? We're looking at a minus 270 popping up on the board right now. It doesn't really seem that there's a lot of support for this Islanders team.
And you can understand kind of why with this Isles team. Very hard pressed to generate offense, but a little bit unfortunate the way this series has gone. When you look at the Isles and some of the numbers that are out there make the case that this series could be 2-2. They, of course, squandered a 3-0 lead in one of the games, but that contest, they were outshot for a stretch at 29-4, and that's not exactly a recipe for success. I think if you're looking to try and take a stab with the underdog, I wouldn't fault you, but probably a game where I think Carolina plays with a bigger sense of urgency, knowing that the Rangers are waiting and rested. In what should be a great matchup that we could see start as early as this weekend. So I think Carolina wins, but there's no value in the price. I mean, my number here makes the Canes right around a 226 favorite, so not enough to take the underdog either. This is one I'll probably be sitting on the sidelines for.
Todd Furman joining us here. So 4 games tonight on the ice. Tomorrow we get 2. And folks here in Las Vegas, you've been to a couple Knights games yourself, Todd. We see the Golden Knights win both games in Dallas. They come back home and they lose in double overtime over the weekend. And then last night they lose 4-2 against the Dallas Stars. We saw the betting market bet Dallas a little bit last night. Now Dallas heads back home where they're around a minus 155, minus 160 favorite. Sometimes you see these teams, drop 2 games in a row. They get that momentum back. Anything to look at with Dallas and Vegas as they return to the ice tomorrow night in Dallas?
As much as it pains me to say, guys, I think you're starting to see the cream rise to the top here with the Dallas Stars, who earned that number 1 spot in the Western Conference with their regular season performance. You look at the expected goal share so far through the first 4 games of the series across all situations, and the Dallas Stars own 62% of that. It's actually the second highest of any first-round series we've seen. And unfortunately for the Golden Knights, the Stars are getting a much better performance out of Jake Ottinger over the last 2 games than what they saw from their goaltender last year in the 6-game series between these teams. You never want to write off Vegas. We've seen the championship pedigree here before, but I just wonder if this has enough the way and an ability to generate offense. This price actually a little bit of a discount too. We saw the Stars close in that $1.75 range and what odds makers believed was a must-win game 2. You're starting to see a discount here at minus 152, and in my opinion, not enough of an adjustment for the change in venue, where Dallas closed right around a 121 favorite in game 4. But I think another game where I'll be looking at the total. Hopefully this number leaks up to 6, and that would be where I get an opportunity to jump in on this one. Not sure I'm willing to get involved right now going under 5.5 plus 105, but I think the total much more attractive from a betting perspective than laying the $1.50 on Dallas, as I think they come away with the win in this one more often than not.
All right, speaking of adjustments, what's pretty interesting is this Oilers-Kings series. Game 1, it opened at $1.60, actually got bet up 20 cents or so to $1.82, the close for the Oilers at home. Now we're opening at $1.85, Todd. Is that adjustment warranted?
I think it is. We see these series effect take hold all the time, not only in the NHL, but the NBA as well. And Edmonton showing an ability to go into crypto and win that game 1-0 with a tremendous performance from Stuart Skinner, where the Oilers were minus 20 in terms of shot differential, expected goals, finished minus 2, and displayed a defensive prowess that we haven't seen from them over the last couple of seasons. Minus 195 is kind of where I have this number, so I'm right on market. But the total, I think, again, is relatively intriguing. If the Kings are going to have a shot, they're going to have to turn this into a little bit of a slugfest. So for me, at 6.5, under a quarter, that probably makes the most sense right now. I think we ultimately see the number close 6 across the board, but buyer beware here, because if the Oilers do have a multi-goal lead deep into the third period, it's the kind of game that you're not going to want to watch for enjoyment purposes if Coach Hiller elects to pull his starting netminder for the better part of 5-6 minutes. But I think you're going to see Edmonton commit defensively, and the Kings do everything they can to turn this into a low-event affair.
Todd, real quickly before we let you run, about 30 seconds. Eastern Conference right now looks pretty cluttered from the future standpoint just to come out of the East. Any team that you would lean into a little bit more? Carolina, Florida, New York, and Boston.
Florida was my pick to come out of the East before the playoffs started, but I don't think there's much in the way of futures value there. If you want to look at the Conn Smythe market, though, for playoff MVP, I think there is one player that stands out, and we've seen Wyatt Johnston play some of his best hockey, taking on a little bit of that Jonathan Marchessault feel for the Stars. Of course, this all predicated on Dallas getting to the Cup final and getting their name engraved. But I take a shot on Wyatt Johnston at a price of 40-1 or greater. I think if Dallas makes a deep run, he could be a key cog for the team and not necessarily a star-driven award, as we've seen in some of the other sports when it comes to naming an MVP.
Wyatt Johnston, as Todd alluded to, sitting at 40-1 right now at DraftKings. Hey, Todd, great stuff, man. We appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, gents. Enjoy the games tonight.
There he is. Todd Furman, CBS Sports Bet the Board podcast, joining us on our progressive guest line. That's Jonathan Von Tobel holding back the tears. Mike Trout, it's going to be okay, JVT. It's going to be okay.
This is VSiN Primetime with Tim Murray and Jonathan Von Tobel on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Check out VSiN.com. A lot of great information up there. We do have our series preview. Yep, hot off the press. We're not waiting until Saturday to put this thing up. I know that's when the series begins, but the analysis started last night. Timberwolves and Nuggets series preview up on the website right now. You have Michael Lombardi's 2024 NFL Draft Notes and Kentucky Derby post-draw winners and losers from Mike Somich. Of course, Run for the Roses coming up this weekend. Check it all out now at VSiN.com.
Thanks to Todd Furman for jumping on the program, giving us his thoughts tonight on the ice. He was intrigued by the under in the first period between Vancouver and Nashville, which you can get around minus 110. So that was something that I believe he said he was going to split a unit, full game under and first period under. But the closeout scenarios does make him a bit worrisome at times. So that, and he also liked Colorado team total over 3.5. If Stars Knights gets out to 6, he would look to bang the under. It did look like one far off land has gotten to a 6 in that Vegas-Dallas game, and I would imagine, JVT, the way that market is going, we will get there as it is right now, just minus 125 to the over. Are you okay? You seem distracted.
I was just watching a video of Mike Trout without sound. So,
you want to tell the people what the news is?
Yeah, for those who are just joining us, knee surgery. Looks like we do get some update here. It looks like a torn meniscus, 4 to 6 weeks. So we'll see if he does come back. I would say if you've got like 20 wins by the time he comes back, what's the point? It's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you get the gist. Don't think it's going to be one where you're rushing him back here. So we'll see what happens. But 4 to 6 weeks, it looks like for Mike Trout out.
Angels 11-18 right now. Not in last place, though.
No, Houston Astros are in last place.
Can you bet they will finish in last place in the AL West?
You know, I think some spots probably have division exactas, right? You can go and find.
An interesting one. I guess you'd also be banking on Oakland continuing to not be horrendous, but they've shown some life.
Yeah. Looking right now, DraftKings does have division top 2 finishes, so we'll have to see if maybe some of those others pop up here.
All right. While JVT sits and just pushes the pain deep down inside, as once again Kawhi Leonard not playing in Game 5. Maybe that doesn't matter because they did win Game 4 without Kawhi Leonard. The Los Angeles Clippers did. Let's get to our best bets for tonight.
I see you using an old style.
I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom.
Putting our money where our mouth is.
I like to live dangerously.
It's time for Best Bets.
Come on, Jerry, it's a lock.
All right, Mr. Von Tobel had a winner yesterday as the Nuggets were able to finish off the Los Angeles Lakers. Didn't need the 6 games, just needed 5. You could have actually got plus money if you had gone minus 2.5 for that series price. But the Lakers, adios. We will get to Lakers a little bit later on in the show, what it means for that. But a full series breakdown by you on VSiN.com. It's a great read. Make sure to go check it out. And I believe that is a play for you. And you got some other plays for tonight.
Yeah, like I figured, look, I mean, I do have a future on the Minnesota Timberwolves to win the Western Conference. So I'm in already, but why not do this for camaraderie's sake and get in on this thing? So Timberwolves series price plus 180 against the Denver Nuggets. There's a lot that we can get to about this series, and we can go maybe a little bit more deep divey later if you'd like. But I think for the most part, the thing that sticks out is obviously Minnesota is just a team that is constructed the way you want to take on the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets have a front line of 6'9" Aaron Gordon, 6'10" Michael Porter Jr., and 6'10" Nikola Jokic. Well, the Minnesota Timberwolves have a front line of 6'10" Jaden McDaniels, 6'11" Karl Anthony Towns, 7 foot Rudy Gobert. Like, this is a team that is massive up front that can deal with that size. In the 4 games that they played with each other, a 109.1 offensive rating for the Denver Nuggets. They split the 4 games, Tim, and yet still the Timberwolves came out with a plus 5.7 net rating in those 4 games, despite a 2-2 record in the series. I think they're just built to beat this team, and they are better. They are deeper than what they were last year. Remember, for those who don't remember, Jaden McDaniels punched a fire extinguisher in the play-in, so he was not available for the series against the Denver Nuggets last year. And Naz Reid had a wrist injury that he had suffered, but I think late in the regular season, if I remember correctly, he was not available for that series against the Denver Nuggets. So the bench is even better too. I think the Timberwolves can win this thing. Series price plus 180. Get this thing into the Western Conference Finals, boys. I've been believing for 2 years. Let's do this thing.
Real quickly, before we continue with our best bets, Todd Furman, who just was on with us, alluded to keep an eye on the status of Austin Matthews. He is out tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they try to avoid elimination. Austin Matthews out tonight. This from Emily Kaplan of ESPN. No Austin Matthews tonight for the Maple Leafs. Team is saying illness feels like something more significant to keep a star player out of a potential elimination game. And we are starting to see the market move on up right now. Minus 160s out there, plus 146 on the other side. If you do think that Toronto, without Austin Matthews, can stave off elimination down 3-1 in Boston. But no Austin Matthews tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's just coming out officially there. So we're starting to see the market react now. And it looks like minus 170s are starting to show up in the market as well. So, man, the playoffs, a whole new season when you look at star players and the injuries. Bucks tonight, not expecting to have Giannis or Damian Lillard. Both are doubtful. I would imagine that is a strong indication. JVT, they will not be playing later on this evening as they also try to stave off elimination. We will do a bigger deep dive on Minnesota versus the Denver Nuggets a little bit later on in the show. But I read JVT's write-up today. I was thinking this way initially, and I'm going to jump on with him. So I'm going to ride with JVT. We cashed that ticket on the Nuggets, minus 140 on a series price, and I'm going to take that and put it towards another investment, the Timberwolves, to knock off the champions. I'm going to believe in the young guns and believe that Anthony Edwards and company can get this done. I can't wait for this series to start on Saturday night in Denver, and give me plus 180 on the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, and real quickly, it is interesting that not even a week removed of the market saying, no, Phoenix Suns all the way, right? Pushing that price with ease up to about minus 140 against Minnesota. We saw the initial move to Minnesota overnight. We saw minus 250 on the opener. We're down to minus 215. So we did see some pretty solid support in the market for Minnesota in this series against Denver.
Before we get to your baseball plays, coming up top of the hour, New York, Philadelphia, that game down to 4. So looks like some support in the market. Joel Embiid will play, shocker. So the hooks are all gone. This thing got bet up to 4.5, down to 4. Might be headed to 3.5 at circa. We'll see, as they have a slightly juiced 4 here. It's 4 minus 0.5 for New York, minus 115 for Philadelphia, but 4's out there. DraftKings still is, I believe, still has a 4.5 out there if you do like the Philadelphia 76ers. Coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern, that number is rising in favor of Cleveland. That series even at 2 games apiece. That is 5, 5.5 out there at DraftKings, and then Indiana, Milwaukee. That one sitting at 4.5 or 4, depending on where you look. Circa has 4.5. DraftKings has 4 for Indiana and Milwaukee. So once again, injury front standpoint, still doubtful. No officialness, right, to Damian Lillard or Giannis, but I would
doubtful.
imagine
You can tell
they're probably not going to play. Market has already reacted in that regard, but Austin Matthews for the Toronto Maple Leafs is out, and that is why we have seen a decent move towards the Boston Bruins as they try to finish off the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, up 3-1, and now you're looking pretty much across the market, minus 170. DraftKings has now gotten up to minus 175 with Matthews being officially ruled out. You got a couple baseball plays, JVT, so let's hit on those.
Yes. Now I want to double check because market still says the matchup is true, but we did see a series. Maybe I just nailed this with the handicap here. So we'll go with Kansas City Royals first 5 plus 115. We are going to go against the Jose Barrios-led Toronto Blue Jays. Now, this is written up earlier up on the website, VSiN.com. These come up every Tuesday and Thursday if you want to check these out. We're actually, like I mentioned, we're at like minus 105 now for the Kansas City Royals. Actually, yeah, minus 105. But here's the thing with Jose Barrios. If you look at some of the numbers for him up to this point, Tim, it looks on the surface absolutely fantastic. We're talking about ERA under 2, but if you look at the fielding independent, it's about 384. If you look at a bunch of different metrics, opponents hitting just 232 on balls in play against him, despite ranking in the 9th percentile of pitchers in hard hit rate. He's 53rd percentile in barrel rate. He's giving up hard contact, Barrios is. The balls just aren't finding these gaps. I don't think that's going to be sustainable. Royals are a decent lineup. They don't strike out a bunch. Think they can get to him here. And Cole Reagans has been awesome. You look at some of his numbers. He's been absolutely brilliant. He's actually kind of the antithesis of Barrios. 3.90 ERA, but a 2.22 fielding independent. He's getting the bad luck here. I think both of these two forces meeting together warranted a play on a pretty solid plus price there for the Royals. And then we will go over in Cleveland and Houston, pulling for our guy, Gil Alexander, get the Guardians a dub here. He has the pretty big ticket on the Guardians to have the best record through March and April. We'll say really quickly here, Carlos Carrasco, Hunter Brown are going to face off with one another. These two guys aren't pitching particularly well. We were famously, remember, the play on on the Royals against Hunter Brown a couple of weeks back, where he gave up, 7 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning? Over 5 at minus 115 for this one as well. The first 5.
We will get to tonight's NBA action a little bit later, but up next, our good friend Mike Sanford, who, by the way, says he's got some thoughts on the Denver Nuggets. He's up there in the Denver area. What does he think of that, and what does he think of the Denver Broncos selecting Bo Nix?
This is VSiN Primetime with Tim Murray and Jonathan Von Tobel on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It's Kentucky Derby time. You ready for the greatest 2 minutes in sports? Saddle up with DK Horse, an official DraftKings affiliate. Right now, new customers who download the DK Horse app get a 100% deposit bonus up to $250 when they opt in with code VSiN Horse. All one word. Just deposit $25 or more and complete the playthrough requirement. Download DK Horse now to join the Run for the Roses action only on the DK Horse app.
That's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Tim Murray. It is VSiN Prime Time, and it's always great to catch up with our good friend, longtime offensive coordinator, most recently interim head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, Mike Sanford joining us here on our Progressive Guest Line. You can catch Mike on Altitude Sports there in Denver on weekday mornings. You can also catch VSiN, by the way, on the AM signal of Altitude Sports 950 AM. Mike, before we jump into the Denver Nuggets, I know you're chomping at the bit. We talked a lot about Bo Nix and the possibility of going to Denver. Would it be in the second round? Well, now we know it was in the first round. It was the 12th overall selection. Now that it has happened, what is your feeling and your breakdown of this marriage of Bo Nix and Sean Payton in Denver?
Well, there's a lot of romance. There's no question. There's certainly the romantic stage of this relationship is in full effect. And, you know, there's no doubting that Sean Payton really stood alone, certainly in the top 15, maybe top 20 draft picks in the first round in saying that Bo Nix is worthy of that first round grade. And while I don't agree with it, just based off my own evaluation, I mean, Sean Payton has been doing this a lot longer than I have. I realize that. I do think the arm strength is a question, a major question. And people that say that arm strength isn't important, show me many quarterbacks right now in today's NFL that have subpar arm strength. I can't name one. Brock Purdy maybe. But I think that this is actually a good thing for the Denver Broncos. I think this is actually positive news for the fan base because I think that Sean Payton in making this pick, and you even had Todd McShay, some of his quotes on your show with regards to saying this pick was a bit of an arrogant pick by Sean Payton. Well, I think that's a good thing for the Broncos because they're going to want to. I mean, Sean Payton's going to want to prove this pick right, and you're going to get the absolute best of Sean Payton. He's going to build a system and build the personnel around Bo Nix that fits his skill set. So while I don't agree with the pick, I actually think it's a decent thing for the Broncos in terms of getting the absolute best version of Sean Payton.
We were talking about Rookie of the Year odds, offensive Rookie of the Year odds in the National Football League. Any doubt that he would start here day one? Is Jarrett Stidham potentially going to get the first call there? Is there a shot that this guy can win Offensive Rookie of the Year? Being a quarterback, he's already got a leg up.
Well, I would be surprised if Jarrett Stidham even makes it to training camp because I do think Zach Wilson is one of two reclamation type projects. Bo Nix being the other one is an overdrafted 12th pick of the draft where Sean Payton's going to get two cracks at it. And I think it's going to either be Zach Wilson, and if that thing sticks and it's a fit, and, Zach Wilson has a lot of arm talent. He's got a lot of athleticism, and he's been through a lot of the lumps of being a National Football League starter in one of the toughest markets in all of sports in New York. So I think it's going to be one of those two guys. But after seeing the Troy Franklin draft pick in the 4th round by the Denver Broncos, I said, Bo Nix is the quarterback. Sean Payton's all in, ships her to the center of the table.
Mike Sanford joining us here on VSiN PrimeTime on our Progressive Guest Line, longtime offensive coordinator, Notre Dame, Boise State, most recently at Colorado, where he's the interim head coach as well. 16-1, as we alluded to, is where Bo Nix stands to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Let's run through, Coach, just the fits for the first round quarterbacks, and if you want to remove Atlanta, that's fine too. But we got
do that. It's my guy.
That is your guy. You were all in on Michael Penix. But as we look at these fits for 2024, let's run through them real quickly. We've got Caleb to Chicago. Jaden Daniels goes to Washington. We've got J.J. McCarthy landing in Minnesota, and then Bo Nix and Drake May to New England, of course. So which of the fits with the scheme that they're walking into, the surrounding cast, do you like the most, and which do you like the least?
Well, if I was going to rank them in order, I would have number one as J.J. McCarthy. And I think that was surprising to me after his combine performance. He answered the question, does he have the arm talent to be successful in the National Football League? And he answered it with a resounding yes. He was fantastic at the combine. I think whoever got picked up by Minnesota was going into the best possible situation in terms of a quarterback developer and really a combination between Kevin O'Connell and Josh McCown. I think that's going to be a great fit. And I think that you're surrounded with immediate weapons everywhere on offense. I think J.J. McCarthy would be my odds-on favorite to win Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to have a great year. I think that Drake May is going to be an interesting one because I think there is a world that exists where they protect Drake May because the surrounding pieces are so down in New England. But I do think that Drake May, if he does start early, I would picture very similar to Josh Allen, where you lean into his big athletic nature and run the football with design quarterback runs, particularly on third down in the red zone. And so he could have some decent rushing numbers, to be quite honest. And then I'd say Jaden Daniels, I like that pick. I think that's going to be a good fit with Cliff Kingsbury. I think it's going to take a little bit of time and maturation. But then really the other guy that I think is going to have success is Caleb Williams. I think that just his ability to create, because he's been surrounded with such good weapons. This is a very different situation than Justin Fields walked into just a couple years ago. Caleb Williams, he's going to have some success. My question on Caleb Williams is when it goes bad, which inevitably it is, you're in Chicago and you're playing quarterback. Just look at the last 40 years of sample size. When it goes bad, how's he going to respond? And I think that's going to tell a lot about the future of Caleb Williams.
These Nugs, huh, buddy? What's going on?
How about those Clippers, baby, huh?
Yeah, a lot of fight there. How you feeling? Because I got to tell you, this Timberwolves team is a little bit better than they were last year.
No, you're right. I do know that. And honestly, in the playoff series last year in round 2, Timberwolves, that was a dogfight. For the Denver Nuggets, it was probably their toughest series. I think that might have been the first round, if I'm not mistaken.
First round, yep.
Yeah, I was still recovering and licking my wounds from my failed college coaching career, but I hadn't leaned into the Nuggets yet as much as I have recently. I went to the game, which was really at the time, it was second to last game of the regular season. The Timberwolves come to Denver, and that game actually showed me a little bit of what to expect from the series. And I do think that the fact that the Denver Nuggets struggled mightily shooting the basketball against the Los Angeles Lakers, and frankly, that was the closest 4-1 series, I think, in the history of basketball. Just all the deficits for the Nuggets that they came from behind to win games late. I think that's actually a good wake-up call. And Michael Malone's an old-school coach. We get to interview him every Monday on the Dempsey and Company show right here in Altitude in Denver. He's the old-school coach that loves teachable moments. Think Nick Saban. That's the type of style of coach that he wants to have those moments where even in a win, it's not good enough. And I could hear this morning in Michael Malone's voice on the radio that he wasn't too pleased with the overall series against the Lakers. A hungry Nuggets team is going to be a very good Nuggets team, and I see them hitting their stride.
Yeah, what's the conversation like about that? I mean, that was an awesome. It's almost similar to last year, right? Like, it was a really awesome 5-game series with the Lakers. They trail at halftime in these games. They don't look particularly comfortable. They didn't shoot well. What's the conversation like coming out of that into the series with the Timberwolves? Is there a worry in the area about how they perform?
Now, just to correct you, JVT, last year was a sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers. I think.
No, I'm talking about this series that they just played.
Yeah. I think that this series this year, maybe to your point, reminds me of the Timberwolves series of last year. I don't think anybody in Denver's thinking that this thing's going to be done in 4 or 5 games. I think this is a minimum 6-game series. I do see the Denver Nuggets winning it because of the championship pedigree that they do have. While Ant Edwards has been ridiculous, I mean, he's the best player right now in the postseason so far. I do think that there is going to be the moment where, he gets punched in the mouth a little bit as a young player, and he doesn't have those veteran moments built up behind him. I think it's going to end up showing at some point, although there's going to be a lot of highlight reel moments for Ant Edwards.
Mike, before we let you run, who's the X factor? You think the Nuggets take care of business? Both JVT and I took a swing on just the series price at plus 180 for the Timberwolves. Who's the X factor of why the Nuggets win? Is it keep it simple? Is it the Joker or Jamal Murray, or do you think someone else steps up?
The absolute biggest X factor, and this is a guy that doesn't get a whole lot of recognition, certainly nationally, is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, because of what he's going to be tasked with doing defensively. And in that second to last game of the regular season against the Timberwolves, KCP absolutely shut down Ant Edwards really through the last 2.5 quarters of that basketball game. So KCP had a little ankle injury. It was pretty ugly in the Lakers series. His health is going to be of utmost importance because KCP's an eliminator. He's an eraser because he's such a good defender. I think he's the X factor in this series.
Mike, always appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, appreciate you. Go Nuggets.
There he is, Mike Sanford. You can catch him on Altitude Sports Radio in Denver weekdays there from 10 to noon Mountain Time. You can also catch VSiN on Altitude Sports on the AM dial. We got a special guest going to jump on, give us a quick preview of Game 5 at Madison Square Garden, Knicks and Sixers from WFAN. Sal Licata going to join us at the top of the hour to give us a quick last-second preview of what to expect tonight at MSG.